Okay, so we are going to look at some of the tools that Barnwell discusses in her chapter on team checking. So, first of all, she mentions Paratext Live, and that's a feature that's up here in the menu bar that has this little person here, and it says Paratext Live. And I can't click on it right now because nobody's on here. Um, but what this does is it syncs your computers so that the person editing, as they're making changes, the rest of the team can see it. So I don't know how your internet is, and if this is something that can work for your internet, I'd be curious to know. So next time you're together for team checking, I'd be interested in you trying this Paratext Live to see how it works for your team. So let me know if that works and if you need more help setting that up. Another feature that she talks about is making notes. And so I want to open the notes and see what you have here. So if I go to cancel this, if I go to the notes list in your menu bar, notes list, and I open your project, make sure it's your project, not the back translation, your project. Okay, and it opens down here. Now, this isn't a great place for me to see all the notes. I could move it somewhere else. I can also put it into auto hide, move to auto hide, right click, move to auto hide, and then it's here. So I can look at all notes. I don't see any notes. So I don't know if you're using this feature or not. Let me try a different book here. Matthew. And the notes. Yeah, it looks like there aren't any notes here. Let me try another book. Genesis. Try Genesis. Yeah, there are no notes. So one thing that you can do as you're making, as you're translating, is you can make notes. So for example, like maybe there's this word and you're not quite sure how to spell it. Okay, so you can make a note by going to the menu and click on Project Note, or what's even better is you can press Control Shift N. That's Control Shift N, and it opens up the note thing. That's Control Shift N for note. And then you can say here, unknown spelling. Or you could say, should I spell this Nakieta or Nakeeta? Something like that, question mark. And then you click OK. And then it creates this little flag here, this little note flag. And then the rest of the team will be able to see this note here. So I can open this note by clicking, that goes to, if I click here, that goes to the reference. Or if I click on open, it opens the note, and then I can resolve the note by clicking resolve. That means to make sure that it, or to correct whatever it needed to be corrected. Okay, so the other thing I can do is I can, if I edit this note, I can press that little pencil or delete it by pressing the delete button. I can also assign this note to somebody on the team. So maybe I'll assign this to Domitian, Alois, and Reverend Alois maybe we have a question. Does this word match the Hebrew text? Question mark. And you can click OK. And then when Reverend Alois is on his computer, he can see his notes are here. So by clicking all notes, you can see it there, or unresolved. And then he can say unresolved assigned to me. So I don't have any notes, but Reverend Alois does. So that's one way to communicate with each other as a team when you're doing your drafting. Now, to resolve these notes, you just go into here. You can click down on this arrow. You don't even have to open the note, and you can just click the button resolve. And it leaves the note there to have a history of the questions that you've asked, but it shows that it's resolved. Now I'm going to delete this note so that it doesn't confuse anybody. So yes, delete it. Oh, delete. Yes. So then I have the notes over here in the notes column. The other thing that that Barnwell discusses is to checking the biblical key terms. So after you've drafted your text and you've come together as for a team checking, it's good to look over the key terms to make sure that they've been translated correctly. So one way to do that is by opening biblical key terms. And to see all of them, well, actually, a better tool is to go to this biblical terms, not the terms renderings, just the terms, biblical terms. And this opens up the biblical terms tool. And in here, you can check the term. Again, this is all modifiable. You can move these columns around like I'm doing here. So I can put the English and the renderings together, and then I can put whether they're found or not at the beginning. And Reverend Alois might want the Hebrew close by, so he puts that there. So then you have these terms, and then as you're going through them, it'll show the references that have that term. Okay, so right now there isn't much translated in the Old Testament, but for example, here's one that's translated, and it'll show that to you. And so as you're checking, you can check all books, go to current book or to current chapter as your team checking. Just so your team checking, you look here, you see the term, and you check to make sure that it's translated correctly. And this shouldn't take long. You should just be able to scroll through and make sure that they're all done. And so like you might see, okay, this fish and fui, maybe you'd want to translate it differently. And so you can actually come in here and fix the note from this tool. The other thing you can do is, as you're checking, like Reverend Alois might be checking the translation, he could go into the reference. So if you click on the reference here, you can come to the reference 126. That's here, and here's the word enfui. You can make a note Control Shift N and say translate this using this other word, or whatever you want to say. So that's the biblical key terms. That's the notes and the Paratext Live. So, I can use the Paratext Live. So if I click on Paratext Live, you'll see here, start or join a session, and then select a different user. So you can start this session here, and it'll start the session, but it's not going to do anything unless someone else is also using Paratext Live. And then I'll be able to see where they are in the project. So that is, if you have good internet service, and you will remain until the end of Paratext Live start session, otherwise wait to join. Okay, I'm not going to do this. Cancel. Okay, so I think that's it for this chapter. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will continue to review these things.